Welcome once again to the episode of Sunday School on the Go. Today happens to be the very first lesson in our brand new book, which is the last book for the year 2025. Now, in this book, 26, we are going to continue the lesson in the first lesson, which is marriage ceremony. Remember that we have been going on a series of conversations on marriage, singleness, courtship. Now we are talking about the ceremony of marriage. The ceremony of marriage. Now, what goes on in the context of ceremony? It's subjective according to tribe and according to the people culture. Now, it means that it may be different from your tribe, but there will always be a ceremony that finalizes marriage in the context of human existence. How do we conclude on this, or how do we justify it? We justify it from the Bible. Now, the focus of our conversation today, we are looking at the book of Genesis, and the chapter is number 24. We are looking at Genesis 24, the story of how Abraham asked the servant to look for a wife for Isaac. And then we are looking at basically the conversation that happened between the servant who was the envoy who went to look for a wife and the family of Rebekah. How Rebekah was handed over to them. I want to tell you that every tribe is different. So before you marry, disclaimer is in the book. There's a disclaimer in the book. I want to read it so that you don't assume that I'm thinking in my head. No, I'm not thinking. I'm actually very much in obedience to whatever the book is. Our lesson here is trying to say. Now, there's a disclaimer in this book that says that there's a disclaimer, and it says that marriage is not a ceremony for only two people. It is a ceremony, or it is a union for families, communities, and culture. So when you marry, you're not just marrying the person that you are marrying, but you are marrying the person's culture, the person's family, the person's people. Now, if that is the case, then we should not enter into marriage candidly without giving careful attention and thought to what we are trying to do, because it will not end the way you are thinking. Now, in this conversation, Isaac was the son. Abraham is the father. Now, Abraham asked his son. Abraham did not ask his son, Isaac, who do you want to marry? In the culture, the father had a right to take wife for his children. So, he sent a servant to look for the wife. The servant goes, asks for God's help, and God helps him. He has found the man, the woman that he wants to marry. But what happened? I mean, you need to read this and understand. I remember one day, somebody was dating somebody, and then I asked the person, do you understand the tribe, like the culture of the people, the person you're dating and everything? The person assumed he understood. But when the reality kicks in, then suddenly you discover that, this is not what I thought. This is not what you thought. If you marry a northerner, there are different things to expect. Any tribe you marry in this country called Ghana, we have our culture and our way of marriage. You will be subjected to it. Now the question is that, should the Christian subject himself to the culture of marriage if it is unbiblical? And what dear, you have to discuss it. Your pastor will come in. You need God to help you. But other people who have spiritual faith, or who have faith and have some spiritual standing in the Lord, has gone through these kind of processes with these kind of difficult situations and have been able to survive. So the main issue is that the problem is not the tribe. You must be prepared. Now the question I always like, who sent you? Who sent you there? Is it God? Did God help you in choosing the woman? If God helped you to choose the woman, God should help you to solve these, God will help you. Don't give up. God will help you. But then our focus is that it says that in the ceremony of the marriage, There's the parental involvement. There is the groom. So let's read in the book from verse 50. Coming down. Rebecca was, the servant came. Rebecca took the servant to his father's house, and then there was a conversation about everything. And then he brought gifts. Then let's look at the gifting part in verse 53. He says, then the servant brought out gold and silver jewelry and articles of clothing and gave them to Rebekah, to the woman. He also gave costly gifts to her brother, Akonta, and to her mother. What else here? So these were things that the culture demanded that these things should be given. You understand? So meaning that in every culture there is demands. There is demands. If you think the demand of the people, the person you're going to marry, the people, I don't know how to, like, if you think the demand that is coming for the woman or the man that you are trying to marry is too much. I mean, in these things, there are negotiations in our context. We negotiate. You go with somebody, like there's a whole party to it. So go seek the right processes and go through it. But by all means, you will not marry a woman for free. It is not proper and right for a woman to be married for free. That is why when you refuse to go to see the family of the woman and marry her properly, you may be married with children, but in the context of the family, you are still an outsider. There is a ceremony, and the ceremony involves families, and it involves rights. It involves things that must be done. Now, when we look at this lesson, we realize that in the case of Rebecca, this was done. And after that, Rebecca was asked if she wants to go with them. And the Bible says Rebecca considered that yes, she wants to go with them. Now, bear in mind that this is somebody Rebecca is meeting for the first time. Rebecca does not know this man from anywhere. But he decides, will you go? She says, yes, I will go. As incredible as that sounds, there is something that this lesson in the book, it says that it takes faith to go into marriage. And that is true, because no matter how well you have conversations you've had, investigations you've done, you can never really know the person you are marrying in totality. You will know portions and dimensions, but in totality, it's not possible. You can't know the person completely. So you know some, but you go in with faith. If God has helped you to go through your singleness, to go through courtship, chose a spouse, go through a courtship period, by this time, God is already involved. So by this time, the marriage ceremony is coming. God is guiding you. God is leading your steps. God is helping you, bringing people to support you to make sure that this ceremony goes on successfully. There's something that my pastor says a lot when he's blessing marriages. He used to say that if somebody is here who has not paid fully the bride price of the woman he's married to, go and pay it. I mean, my pastor says a lot. That is because people actually feel like they can just, sometimes when you go through these ceremonies, if you have been in a marriage ceremony before, the bride price that is given to the father is kind. They don't open it to count. So some men play smart, some boys play smart. Instead of 2,000, they'll put some 1,200 be in the thing. And then try to play smart until as the marriage lady, they have done it too. But because of the father's love for the child, he has kept quiet. But the man is owing the father. How can you marry a woman and owe the bride price? What worry about who didn't soka? I mean, I don't know, but it doesn't sound right. We need to do what is right. If you are a Christian, this context, you cannot jump. On this note, we'll bring Sunday school and go to an end. Go to the class. Let's get into this matter. The next lesson will be another beautiful lesson about conflict, which happens in marriage. Now, in this lesson, we have looked at ceremony. What is the particular ceremony? What has been your culture shock when you were trying to marry, or as sometimes as you are growing up, you go to a lot of marriage ceremonies. What are some of the culture that you have seen that shock you? What's some of the culture that amazes you? What culture preference do your family subscribe to? And what is your own take as a Christian? Build upon it and grow as the Lord gives you strength. God bless you, and I'll see you again in the next lesson.